Well, part of the NFL schedule has been released. International games have been announced. The Minnesota Vikings will have back-to-back international games. They'll play the Steelers in Dublin in Week 4, followed by a game against the Browns in Week 5. Some other international action, including the Colts and the Falcons in Berlin in Week 10, the Dolphins and Commanders in Madrid in Week 11, and there are 2 more matchups in London with the Jets and the Broncos in Week 6 and the Jags and Rams in Week 7. That was a lot to get through. Charles Davis joining us now. So we have 7 international games spanning over 5 countries. We have Dublin, London, Berlin, Madrid, Sao Paulo. Charles, what's your take on just the league's commitment to this global expansion?
Jenny, I think you hit the perfect word, commitment, because I think when all this began back in the 80s, when we started to take teams overseas and playing, and maybe even in the 70s, I can't go back quite that far and have it exact. But when we were doing it, remember, those were all preseason games, right? Those were all one-off type of ball games. Hey, let's take this out and see what it does. And then we saw the crowds. We saw the response. We saw what was going on. But we had to figure out if we're going to spread our game, American football, globally, people have to see how it counts, when it counts, the best that we're going to send over. And then when we started to send the games and they were regular season, they still weren't great games, were they, Jenny? I was over there once for a ball game. I had a number of people in London tell me, we'd like to see some better games here. And after a while, the league got the message, and some of our more traditionally powerful teams have started to make the trek. Now it is part of the whole fabric. And I think the manifestation of it all, Jenny, the Olympics coming up in 2020 in Los Angeles, flag football. Now we're seeing it all over the world. It may not be totally padded out yet, but this is a start, and it's men and it's women. It's boys and it's girls. It's starting to become part of their cultures too, and that's exactly what the league was aiming for. And you nailed the perfect word, commitment. They stuck with it, and it's paying off.
I love it. The commitment to just growing the sport internationally. That's what we want to happen. Now, got to ask, the Minnesota Vikings, back-to-back international games. So playing the Steelers in Dublin in Week 4, followed by a game against the Browns in Week 5. I'm not sure how I feel about that. Does it seem fair to you, Charles, to put them out there 2 weeks in a row?
It's always a question mark that comes up, Jenny. And one of the question marks that comes up is when you have a West Coast team coming east 2 straight weeks. Do they fly home in between? Do they find a place to stay and practice in between? The 49ers started doing that. Remember, they would stay in Youngstown, Ohio when they would do it. Last year, the Denver Broncos did it, and Sean Payton took them back to West Virginia, where he had a great experience before, staying out there at Sam Snead's hotel. So people have figured out how to combat it, but this is the first time we're talking about 2 weeks out of the country where you're going to do this, and that's what Minnesota's going to have to deal with. Fair? I'm not so sure we're going to talk a lot about fair. I still remember last year at Kansas City, 3 games in 11 days down the stretch. They still found a way to make the Super Bowl, so I don't think the league's going to listen too much to teams talking about something being unfair.
I just take the wife side of this equation. I'm like, oh, well, if you can go travel over there, that's fantastic.
Jenny,
but if
going.
not, 2 weeks
Jenny,
away.
you're going.
I would be
What
going.
are you
I'd be going. I know.
Making
Kids
a
are in
trip.
school. Well, yeah, kids are in school.
Hey, that's what we have. That's why we have extended family. It's time for them to.
It's time for them to.
Mom's going on the trip.
Then this is.
Mom's going to Dublin. Mom's going to London. Take care of the kids. Only call me if we have jail or a hospital visit. Other
Okay,
than
I
that,
take it
we're
back.
good.
I'm all for this. I'm in full support at this point. All right, the international slate, it will culminate in Madrid, Spain on November 16th. The Dolphins taking on the Commanders in the league's first ever regular season game in Spain. Charles, how cool is it that we're going to have football at the home of Real Madrid? I mean, that's pretty awesome.
That is really pretty awesome, isn't it? And I think what you just said there is what we're doing each and every time we go somewhere. We're going into someone else's home, and we're going into a place usually where another sport is predominant. In this case, we call it soccer. The rest of the world calls it football. And you're going to one of the classic places, one of the most recognizable brands and franchises in the world, and we're bringing our sport to that spot. I think it's very cool. And what's really interesting to me is at that stage of the season, we'll know at that point, Jenny, if last year's Washington team has found a way to advance because they've tried this offseason with the moves they've made. They want to contend, right? They don't want to just rely on last year and say, that was a happy time. We've got a quarterback on a rookie contract who was extraordinary. We need to ride him and see if he can get us to a Super Bowl before we have to pay him big money. And then on the other side, people are saying Miami's rebuilding, stripping the team down. Chris Greer, their GM, has said no. We'll know at this point of the season, November 16 in Spain, exactly where the Dolphins are headed. Are they still contending? Are they still fighting and scrapping? Or are they really headed towards rebuilding? This is going to be an interesting time for both of these teams. And as you mentioned, they're doing it in Spain, which is going to be very cool. I just want to know this, though, Jenny, very quickly. What's going to be the song that everyone sings there? Because we know in Germany, it's John Denver and Country Roads.
Oh, I don't know. That's going to be.
Will there be a song that travels from our place to theirs that crowd gets involved in and loves? We will find out in November.
I love that. Football. It's all happening. Charles Davis with the latest on the international slate. Gotta love it. And of course, we will have all the action as we prepare for the NFL season. And of course, during the season right here on CBS Sports HQ, we will have all the news, highlights, and scores right here on HQ.